Good morning, guys. Good morning. Hopefully you guys all had a really nice day yesterday. Morning, David. Steve's, how are you guys? All right, what do we got here? Notes. My thoughts on TEVA. Looks great. But your entry was lower. I like TEVA out of this tight day. I actually had it on the watch list right in here. In fact, I think I had it on the watch list even right there. Kind of reminds me of what GH is doing now. And I just set an alert on it. Right? You get this little bit of a pullback, and then you try to build a higher low. It's kind of what it looks like now. Shopify, yeah, back over the 50. Not bad, not bad. Maybe one to set an alert on. Where did I short Netflix? I didn't short Spotify. They just moved together. So my first short on Netflix, I could tell you exactly how I've shorted it. So Netflix was, my first short was on the 19th. As soon as you gap down below the 200, my initial short was at 112.01. Right in, I guess we could just like take it to a smaller time frame. Right in here. Okay, that would have been my first initial short. Right in here. The next day, I shorted twice at when it took out prior day low, and this one's probably better seen on a smaller time frame. This would have been on the 20th. So right here, when it took out prior day low, and then I added a little bit more when it went up to VWAP and then started to roll over. I added a little bit more at my first initial short that day was 108.28. So down here. And then the second add I had at 109.25 right here. Then I also shorted on the 19th. So would have been this day, if I'm not mistaken. 2 days later. Into the declining moving average. When was the last day I shorted? No, December 4th, the 19th. December 4th. When the hell was this? Right in here. That would be December 1st, excuse me. Right here. at 108.57. So right in here. And that's it. And then I kind of held through this little bit of a push. And then yesterday it just died. So I've had 4 ads on the position. And now we're just sitting in it. And those 4 ads have made it a just over 10% position, roughly 10% position. Yeah, Frog looks nice. Yeah, Frog was on the watch list today. In fact, I love the way this thing looks. Has held the high volume close, looks great. If a price alarm, well, here's the reality about me setting alerts. If I have an alert on them and it triggers, then I at least was aware of it, because I wouldn't have set an alert on it if I wasn't aware of it. Make sense? Like, there's really no way for an alert to trigger on a stock I wasn't prepared for. I've at least looked at it before it triggered. Yeah, CEG, not bad. I don't know what to think of it, to be honest with you. It's a little sloppy in here, man. That's my only issue. It's just a little sloppy. I love how tight of a day it is. I love that it's a subtle higher low. It just needs to get back going above the 50, I think. I mean, it's just a little sloppy. Your undercut and reclaim, is it always near an SMA level or only a prior day? Both. I play undercut and reclaims and moving average undercut and reclaims. You just have to, kind of determine what your level is before you go to take a setup like that. Do I think it's a good moment to look for longs? I mean, I'm still looking for a few. I'm personally still looking for some longs. Just depends where. Like the energy sector for me, I think, could still be a spot for longs. I like what Path is doing. Nice gap up on earnings, $16. But I'll just let it trade today. I haven't really been buying earnings gappers. I'm just letting them trade, right? Because even like a CRDO, right? If you show up on day one, you just showed up to get your ass kicked. So there's no sense in that. You didn't really want to chase this gap up. If you did, you got beaten up. So chase this gap up. You just did it to lose money. You can't really chase gap ups. And same thing with Path. I'm not looking to, it's similar to CRDO. You bounce 5-6 days in a row and then you gap up, and it's fine. But yeah, TDW, very nice. VAL, very nice. APA, very nice. There's multiple. Oil services were good yesterday. It depends how much volume it trades. Right? I also don't want to anticipate that it's going to be a high volume closing event or piece of news. GEV. Let me move this. I think it looks great, man. This thing looks friggin' awesome. Obviously a little bit of a sloppy base, but it's not going away. HROW, very nice. I don't know for sure, but HROW is drug manufacturers. Okay. Yeah, I mean, nice bounce off the 200-day. Nice job going sideways for a handful of days. If you got in yesterday, not terrible. Where would I long GEV if I'm going to long it? Over a prior day high. I mean, in an ideal scenario, we eventually get out over this 20th high, but yeah, I mean, it could technically, if you like downtrend lines, if it just takes out these last 2 days, not bad on a smaller time frame. Like it, don't love it. It's all right. Yeah. I like so Crowd, they just had earnings. I mean, really nice reaction. Not one I'm buying just yet. It's still a sloppy chart. It's just sloppy. And Tesla's not a whole heck of a lot better, but I did buy this yesterday as a 50 simple moving average UNR. So it depends. It depends, Ben. So my favorite time to buy aggressively is after a market correction and a follow through day. Last week with the holiday shortened week, we really couldn't get a traditional follow through day. And the correction I didn't think was that big. Like when I was looking at the QQQ, some of you guys may have seen my tweets. I was hopeful, honestly, that we would go lower. And if you were to get like a 10, 12, 15% correction, which I know I might be asking for quite a bit, I guess. But if we were going to get like a 12 to 15% correction, I would then be looking for longs and I would be aggressively buying all my shares at once. But since, we are still kind of in this grindy move higher, I've been building myself into my positions instead. What do I think about Google? I thought it was interesting yesterday. I thought maybe Google could have been tried yesterday. It's still a touch extended from the 50, so that's kind of why I've left it alone. Dude, Caterpillar, so annoying. So effing annoying, dude. Ugh. I saw this day prior and I moved my stop up to low of day. I was like, all right, worst case scenario, it's going to be a flat trade. I'm in at like 569. And then the low of yesterday was 569. And then all of a sudden yesterday, this thing starts washing out. And I take it off the table. Right. I'm like, nah, screw that. Right. I have like 3,500 shares. So I was like, I'll just take a flat trade. And then it just comes right down into the 20 and then bounces. But here's like the reality. It's like, 569 is your stop, but it ends up going all the way down to like 562, and it happens so quick because it's an expensive stock. This thing could have gone to, if you get stubborn with it, it could have gone to 556, and all of a sudden, what you wanted to be a flat trade turns into a $10 loss, and like what was going to be me losing no dollars turns into losing 35K. Like that's not a very comfortable, like that just is backfired. You know what I mean? So at some point you just got to respect your stop and get the hell out the way. But obviously the way it closed yesterday, it's so annoying. Do I micromanage trades on lower time frames like that entry exit, or you find getting chopped? No, I try not to micromanage them, but I do respect my stop. Like, I mean, I guess in hindsight, I could have taken my stop and looking for an entry closer to the 20. I mean, something like that. I guess I could have, but no, I really try to not micromanage any of my trades, especially when they're working. Especially when they're working for me, right? Like I'm not gonna like if I'm in a long, I'm not just gonna like take a couple extra off and then add another dip and then take a couple. I'll only add if I think it's like another clean setup for me to add. Yeah, I think Frog's nice. The problem with Frog for me is it's too thin. So I keep mentioning it, but it trades a little thin for me, unfortunately. EQT is a very nice chart. I don't know if it's going to continue to go higher today, but coming up the right-hand side continues to build higher lows in the nat gas space. I think it's nice. We talked about GSAT yesterday. Yeah, hopefully somebody listened. It was just really nice. Yeah, frog over prior day high. That's it. I try to not overcomplicate my buys. Right? At the high volume close, which it had a few days ago, or over a prior day high, over a little shelf. The question you have to ask yourself is this frog in an uptrend? Is it building higher lows? Is it in the right group? Does it have good earnings and sales? What's the underlying direction? Don't overcomplicate your trading more than it needs to be. Yeah, hood's another nice one. I wish it was a little tighter underneath the 50 when this thing got back up above, but it doesn't really matter. It's, right back at it. One of these like liquid leaders. And a good example yesterday, I had somebody ask me in the Discord, Ariel, what about ETOR? And I'm not picking on them, right? But this is a good learning example. ETOR could very well move with Robinhood. Fine. But why would you go after an eToro versus a Robinhood? A chart that's been in a really steady, solid uptrend versus a chart that's in the depths of hell. Right? So as an example here, don't go after these kinds of charts. Get yourself established in the leader first. Any idea on sizing up? Add to your winners. That's how you size up. Don't be afraid to add to winners. MMM's too slow. I liked what the daily chart looked like yesterday, but just too slow of a chart. Right? Just too slow. I would still look at if a chart finally triggers an old alert, I'll at least look at it. But that doesn't mean that I'll take it. It should have at least been on my radar again before that alert triggers. But if it still looks good and it's triggering a key area and the market's acting well, you're a quarterback, right? You got to call an audible every now and again. Sometimes, plans can change on the fly. But I don't know that that's ever served me too well. It has sometimes, but not often. VSAT, nice uptrend. Let it build out a little bit better. It's not fine. No, I didn't get into Citigroup. I didn't buy any of the banks. I think it looks fine, but I was trying to get into the banks down here. And I had such a nice position in JP Morgan too. I had I want to say 6,000 shares or something. I had 6,000 shares right here. And I got stopped right here. MU it's honestly acting kind of weak. Not that big a deal because it's above the 50, but it's not just MU that's acting kind of weak. It's also SNDK. Yeah, this thing is down 6 points in after hours. I don't know, or pre-market. I don't know why, but if you look at SNDK, some weakness here too. And this one kind of hurts, man, because I had a $260 short and I covered it into this pop it is what it is. But I only had a third of my position left, and this sucker hurts, man. Looking at it now, I still had 2,000 shares left when I covered. So left some good money on the table. TTI. Oh, yeah. Gorgeous. Just picture perfect. Look at how tight of a day this was yesterday. Obviously, I had this thing charted, so yeah, beautiful. Did you buy this? We had to have talked about TTI. Beautiful. Is SMTC becoming a leader in semis? I don't know. You know which one is the leader in semis? ASML. You know which other one? AMAT. No, if I'm looking to buy a break of prior day high and like a reclaim of a key moving average, like as it's breaking back through, I'll just buy a 5-minute opening range break, just like Tesla yesterday. Right? Tesla was a very straightforward 5-minute opening range break. The 620 setup had already happened. Just a simple 5-minute opening range break right here. That's it. For traditional undercut rallies, they can be under the 50. And again, UNRs are going to work best right at the end, right towards the end of a market correction, and as the market's starting to turn back up. Right? So something like this is technically still under the 50, but there was your entry. How do you filter the selection for the day of stocks so you know that they might bounce? You don't know that they might bounce off the 50. You have to have your particular watch list ready, right? If I don't care if they bounce off the moving averages, if I'm not ready for them, I'm even scanning for stocks like Lilly that are pulling back into their ascending moving averages. So I'm well aware, of what Lilly was doing yesterday. I was well aware of it in real time. I didn't take it, but well aware. That's the whole idea. You got to be aware. IDXX, yeah, that's one. GRAL is another interesting one. I bounced yesterday. GH is one. It's a lot of these. Lemonade, excuse me. Lemonade for me just needs to trigger the high volume close. And this one's also on the watch list, but just is not triggering yet. Cost shortable today? I don't know about that. I don't know about that. It had a pretty nasty gap down overnight and then another gap down this morning. So, you're at 909 right now. Yeah, I don't know that I would chase this gap down. It's been in a stage 4 for a little while now. Shorting into some of these pops when it lost the 50 simple moving average was the way. Like coming into this thing short yesterday against this resistance gap and then a 620 setup and then your stop at high of day was the way. With less than 1% risk. Like right here's your entry, 920. I just wanted to improve my worst case scenario. So I'll explain to you why I moved my stop on CAT. I bought it on, I want to say the 26th. I'll have to look just to remember properly. I bought it on the 26th. But let me just triple check for you because my memory can be a little bad sometimes. But I'm almost 100% positive. I bought it on the 26th. I held it for 1, 2, 3, 4 days. And yeah, the 26th. And I wanted to, like when I saw this push, right? And all of a sudden I'm in from, 569 and it's at, 582. I just wanted to improve my worst case scenario. Yes. Could I have used the 20? For sure. But I thought with that close that, we were going to be off to the races. Instead, what ended up happening is we got the nasty shakeout. So, I thought with this push this day, we were going to be off to the races. But no, what happened was this first, and then we were off to the races. So all I try to do with a lot of my trades, and sometimes this is to my detriment, is I try to improve my worst case scenario sometimes a little too quickly, meaning I wanted to get myself out of the position of being able to lose 20, 30, 40, 50K, right? I want to get myself into the scenario where even if I'm wrong, it just becomes a flat idea. But if I'm right, I now have unlimited upside. And I just didn't show enough patience. Like I didn't want to, and this is one of those instances where maybe you call an audible in real time and you go, well, I'm just going to let it go to the 21st. And, I didn't do that. So, but again, I'm human, man. Mistakes get made. Mistakes get made. Could I have definitely been more patient? Yes. But at what point do you tell yourself what you're going to do and then follow your own plan? Because if you just start calling an audible all the time, before you know it, you become a bag holder. Can't always be calling audibles. BE, okay. Chemico, fine. I don't even know why Oklow's on your radar. This thing looks disgusting. Needs way more strength. I'm also still personally short until you close back above a 20 simple moving average. And if it stays underneath the 20 for a while and this 50 starts to catch up, I'll be using the 50. I'm also short Rigetti. And boy, I wish I just had my $55 average on this thing because I nailed the highs. And as long as it stays below its 20 simple moving average, I'm also going to stay short. But like BE, better. Not amazing, but better. And CCJ, better as well by quite a bit. Thoughts on Reddit? I'm hoping that it builds under that, 231 shelf? Yeah. The longer it can just build right under these highs and tighten up and build another series of higher lows, the better as well. Right? Maybe something like this. And I know I'm asking for a lot, but whoops. Something like this. Maybe. And then this. Like that. Might take a little while. Might take another, 10 days or so. But that would be the hope. And part of it might have to do with the market. Path, I'm not going to be chasing the gap up. Just let it trade. Rivian, it's in a big base. At some point, it's going to go, I think. Citigroup is fine. Wells Fargo's fine. JP Morgan's fine. BlackRock or Bank of New York Mellon is fine. Goldman Sachs is fine. The big banks are all fine. What moves with Snowflake? I don't know that I would short a sympathy with this name. I don't know that I would short a sympathy. And you could figure that out in about 2 seconds if you go on FinViz and type in Snowflake. Do I have any plans if there's an attack on Venezuela? I don't. What would my plan have to be? I'm already short some stocks and I'd get stopped out of my lungs if that were to happen. I don't know. I don't ever Serenity. Here's the reality. That sort of prepping, what's the plan if the United States attacks Venezuela? That does not move the needle on my portfolio, right? I don't make money with that kind of thinking. And you're not going to either. So just stop doing it now. Trust me, you'll save yourself a lot of headache. What are your setups? What are your entry tactics? What day are you buying it on? The plan for the day that may or may not happen, and again, that's just totally guessing, is you're not buying stocks that day and you're managing your risk on your open positions. I mean, that sort of thinking does not move the needle on your portfolio. That's the thing. I want you to focus on what makes you money. What makes you money? Yeah, I'm watching Carvana as a potential double top short sale. I actually thought yesterday maybe could have been a little bit of a sneaky entry right in here. I thought this was a potential for a DTSS after it hit that 401 level. But I didn't do it. I haven't shorted any Chinese scams in a while. Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna leave something like this alone. Just not enough liquidity there, so nothing to do. Yeah, I thought Lilly yesterday was potentially viable. What's going on with Meta? Oh, Meta. Meta's reportedly considering significant cuts to its metaverse division. Nice job getting back involved into GEV. Get stopped out, but still gives you an opportunity to get back in. Oh man, ONDS was so nice off the 50-day. So ONDS had like this 773 level, and then right in here for anybody that does like those 620 setups, right in here. Beautiful. Beautiful. Yeah, CLS isn't on my radar. This is still a sloppy chart up here. It's a sloppy. So, but I mean, yeah, we're not quite down at the 50-day. The 50-day is 292. So when I use a rising moving average, geez, the sun keeps getting in this camera's way. When I use a rising moving average, I actually wait for it to get down to that rising moving average. How do you trail the moving averages? Manual. ARQT. It's a biotech. No, it's too extended. Too extended. Oh, yeah. I noticed all of these. Rig, I thought was a little sloppy still. So, like, I really haven't been able to find a way in this thing. It's just been kind of sloppy. VAL, I thought was beautiful yesterday. Beautiful. Again, the problem with some of these names is they're just too thin for me, man. They're just too thin. S&P 500, very nice. How is $80 million too thin? It just is too thin, man. What do you want me to tell you? 80 million is too thin. Not thin for a lot of people, but not something I can really trade. I don't like being a 1/20th of the daily volume if I got to buy and sell. Yeah, they can be, but like buying a lot of buys and sells could be based on key moving averages, but they're lagging indicators. They should be more based on price structure. Right? Like just because something's reclaiming a 50 simple moving average, I wait for price structure to give me a 620 setup. Just because something's breaking back above the 50, I'm buying it because it's actually going above prior day high. So, or again, a break of a 5-minute opening range break has really nothing to do with the moving average and more so to do with price structure. Right? If something's building higher lows on the daily, I don't think about the if something's building out higher lows on the daily, I don't think about the lagging moving average. I think about the higher low. I look at simple moving averages on the daily. I look at exponential on a smaller time frame. Oh man, BTU was another nice one too. Yeah, BTU was good yesterday. CLF's deal name, Cleveland Cliffs. Good but not great. STLD was the leader and is the leader. This one should have been bought at $160. Oh, Amgen's gorgeous. Amgen is on was on last night's watch list video. Yeah, beautiful. Make sure I have an alert set on this one. Big stage one base probably needs to take out these most recent highs. 52. Might take a few more weeks. Is Apple too extended? I could tell you exactly how extended it is. It's 3.82 times away from its 50 simple moving average. It's actually not that extended. Nope. Yeah, NTRA is too extended as well. I looked at comp. I don't think, anything too much of it. Transmedics, maybe pullbacks into the ascending moving averages. Yeah, alert at the HVC for Lemonade. Yep, Spotify is in stage 4. Guys, I mean, you don't really have to guess when something's in stage 4. Just give me a moment. Yep, it's in stage 4. There's no reason to fall in love with something in stage 4, and Netflix is following it right down. Yes, the 50-day is a good spot to sell. Also, I like sometimes buying through the 50-day because if you do, then you can also use that as your guide. The gadget, you could look right on my YouTube. You'll see a link. Yeah, I don't normally talk about. I try not to anyway. But the Discord is. I will do live streams throughout the trading day. I'll answer a gazillion questions, kind of like I'm doing now. I'll share like my nightly watch list video. There's other super talented traders in there. We've got a few guys who are top performers in the USIC. We've got a couple guys who, manage money. So yeah, it's just a great community with a bunch of super talented people in there. So Nick Drendel helps me out a ton. He used to do quality control for Deep View, but he's also a super talented trader. So the community's awesome. It's really not just me, although, right, I'm basically talking all day long, seems like. So I also use Thinkorswim. S&P 500, man, nice. Yeah, I also use Thinkorswim. Both. No, Caterpillar should have been rebought yesterday, but it is what it is. AA went up like crazy. Now down in pre-market. Yeah, I mean, it's hardly down in pre-market, but also, it just wasn't much of a consolidation. You should have been in this thing from lower if you were gonna be. Do I trim manually? Yeah, I trim and cut all positions manually. Yeah, sometimes if, for instance, on a name like GSAT, right? If I bought yesterday, call it like I had an alert on this at like 62.12. I didn't buy because again, too thin for me, but there are some people in the Discord who did. Um, right, I would not be looking to take red on this position anymore. Yeah, Meta gaps up. Well, I've got several charts open, but you need to set alerts the night before over like a prior day high. And then if that triggers, then you pull up the chart and you wait for your 5-minute opening range break. Yeah, maybe some in the energy space. Maybe somebody just mentioned my thoughts on Amgen. Yeah, maybe a chart like Amgen, looks pretty damn good for today. Who knows? So there are still a handful of charts that I'm interested in. More, I like GEV or CEG more, probably GEV, but they're both similar. Quantum's looking like they may have bottomed. I mean, sure. I don't see the reason to try and buy this. Look, a chart breaks out from a super nice long base, and then it gives it all back. This is a chart you want to buy. I don't know about that. Yeah, VIAV is not ugly. Maybe a little bit more building out under the 17.5 pivot. Do you 2x the volume for half days like last Friday? No, I don't even think about that. Yeah, there are 2x leveraged ETFs. And here's the thing, like if I am still not fully invested, I'm totally fine buying, double leveraged ETFs. TSM, interesting. Yeah, I don't mind TSM. LITE. I'll tell you in 2 seconds. I want to say LITE is a little too extended. Yeah, LITE still 6.5 times its ATR from the 50. So it's just still far too extended here. Yeah. Well, that's just the typical length for a market leader is 18 to 24 months is what we've seen lately. Right? And it will, and then that's when we can have, the Mark Minervini correction rule. I think it's like the 50-80 rule. You'll be joining next Black Friday. Looking forward to seeing you, brother. Looking forward to seeing you. Yeah, VLO is just building out. Not a bad name, honestly. The amount of energy stocks that are showing some power is very impressive yesterday. Yeah, IBM's fine. A little slow, but thanks, Max. Thanks, Max. Thanks for being there. And honestly, that Black Friday deals was totally worth it, in my opinion. Just for the community alone, not even for just me or Nick or Clement or any of the other people. But Steve's awesome. John's awesome. I mean, there's like super talented people in that room too. So EBS. It's a biotech, man. It's a biotech that still has a flattening 200 and so much overhead supply. Like, look left on this thing. It's just not that great. One of the things that you got to ask yourself is, is EBS one of the 10 best stocks in the market that you have to try and get yourself into? Like if you were to make a list of like 30 stocks, like these are the best of the best, right? They meet my liquidity constraints. They move fast enough. They're in the right theme. We're in a good market, right? Like focus on good liquidity first. And then you say to yourself, like, is EBS, because if you're in the top 30, you only need to end up in 10 of those to have like a full portfolio. Like, is EBS even fall into the top 100? That's what you have to ask yourself. I don't know that it does. Again, even make your top 50 list, top 80 list. Like, where does EBS fall on your top 1,000? Thoughts on Hewlett Packard? Just straight up off the bottom. You got to wait for it to tighten again. I thought RKT was good right through here. Yeah, I mean, I guess it's got another spot if it can just go sideways a little bit. Coin, yeah. Coin's got a little bit of work to do, but yep. Get back up above the 200, establish yourself above the 200, and we're in. Rivian, nice base. I can't really chase this thing up. It's got to trade sideways for just a little bit, but looks good. Very good. Like a big bottom on a weekly chart. VRT, good but not great. Just continues to build out. A little sloppy here. Like if you're looking at the most right-hand, side of the chart, it's a little sloppy. Very tight day. I mean, I don't know if it's just going to go today right over yesterday's highs. I guess that's possible. But I don't know that I would play this as a higher low. Like 181 basically. Strata, for you who shows up every day, there will be a Christmas deal. I'll make you a Christmas deal, brother. Are there other talented people in your room sharing their swing set? Oh, yeah. Yep. Nick, Clement, Steve. There's 2 top performers in the USIC in the room. Yeah, there's a lot of people who are sharing ideas in the room. Lots. It's not just me. I did the Master Trader program. It's all right. It's all right. You could read his books too. There's nothing like listening to somebody because you can like hear those nuances, but like I'll be totally honest with you. I don't want to talk poorly about Mark Minervini because I learned a lot about him, but like his room for $1,000 a month is insanity. Insanity. But again, some people find tons of value there. So who am I to tell somebody, $1,000 is, it could be not that much to you, but even I think that's a lot. I don't care what community it is. $1,000 a month is kind of nuts. You'll find a link on my Twitter, dude. My thoughts on Oracle. I mean, gotten already very beaten up. Back over the 200 and tighten up and show that it can hold it better. Yeah, CCJ is one that I'm definitely watching. Yeah, back over the 50 simple moving average could be pretty interesting. I mean, just basically call it over 90 good, below 90 not so good. It's kind of how I view it. I liked PL. I think PL is very tight. I mean, and again, very, very tight. Just a clean downtrend line break. If an ASTS continues to go, I would suspect that maybe PL can follow. GSAT was very nice. Thanks, Gabo. Much love. Yeah, there's definitely tons of talented people there. No, LITE is 6 times its ATR from the 50. And Strata, that's not an excuse. We've got a handful of people in the room who are from Singapore. Archer and Joby, Flying Taxi is ready. Nah, I don't think so. Yeah, Amgen is one. Amgen is an interesting one. ONDS will be one worth watching. A copper name, which is HBM, is another interesting one. There are a lot of nice setups out there. Yeah, Frog's another one. Some very nice setups out there. Anyway, guys, I got to get my butt moving. I will see you guys tomorrow bright and early. You guys trade them well today. And yeah, thanks for the questions. You guys are awesome. I will see you guys. Yeah, you'll get a daily dose of dad jokes as well. You got that right. All right, guys. Appreciate you all. I will see you guys in the morning. Later.